Hey, you guys. Remember that from the electric company? Anybody awake? Wakey, wakey. Hands up. Snaky. Bye bye, baby, baby, bye bye. Bye, baby, baby, bye bye. Did I read it there? Mm-mm-mm. Yay, I found it. I was looking if I had a half a joint. If I left it somewhere. Bye bye, baby, baby, bye bye. I was bored. Sorry, I went live, but maybe you guys are not gonna excite me. Maybe not, maybe not. So, until somebody chats, I'll read to you guys. King Philip's War. Even in the history books, little is taught about King Philip's War. Often called the Forgotten War, it still stands today as the bloodiest war ever fought on American soil. Really, I didn't know that. You would think the Civil War was, right? Hmm. Wow. More of the population died in this war than did in the Civil War, and it was a great stain on the young colonies. I wonder if it's because like the population then was lower, so they're actually doing it by, based on percentage of what the population was at the time. Revisionist history likes to likes to look back at the early English colonists as those seeking freedom and opportunity in the New World, and the Native Americans of the time as kindly helpers to their cause. We all know that's not correct, right? Because although the Indians were being helpful, every Thanksgiving, school children are taught the tale of Squanto, the kind Pawtuxet. Sorry. Let me put this out. Who helped the Pilgrims get through their first hard winter in Plymouth. What isn't taught is how Squanto, also known as Tisquantum, had been twice kidnapped by English visitors to this land and spent time in Britain before returning to find his people decimated by disease. Because of his close association with the English and his ability to speak their language, the great sachem of the Wampanoag Confederacy of area tribes, Massasoit, used Squanto as an envoy when the permanent settlers arrived in 1620. So they were coming over even before and just kidnapping and shit. Crazy. However, neither side completely trusted Squanto. Ah, that's the problem, right? Even though, weird though, like why would he himself be kidnapped? Like alone? Or was there others they kidnapped? And how did he end up coming back and forth? I can see the reason why his own people wouldn't trust him. Because it'd be interesting to know why he was kidnapped. Was he just kidnapped on his own? That's strange. Neither side completely trusted Squanto. Some speculate that his death in 1622 was due to poisoning by fellow members of the Wampanoag Confederacy because he had betrayed his people in favor of the English, who refused to turn over Squanto to the Wampanoags under such suspicion. Strange. That'd be a story that bears looking into. Probably not like the one that I saw the movie, which kind of made it out like, a different kind of way. Am I boring you guys? Because, I mean, there's still some people sticking in, even though it's not drama. So maybe they're just listening. So that's okay. I don't mind people just listening. I really don't. That doesn't bother me at all. Although every once in a while I like a little like interaction so I know that people are still with me, but that's fine. That's fine. I know I'm a late nighter. The settlers' early alliance with the Indians was just the beginning of a long period of peace between the English and the Wampanoag tribes that had that always had the undercurrent of mistrust and dislike that would eventually culminate in war. Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, pretty fucking ballsy for just, people that just come over from some other country and be like, well, we think that we're just going to take this for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be like anywhere. I mean, like, what made these certain, I mean, why should it be that I'm sure like when people went to China, you don't see that they just went over to China and were like, let's just wipe everybody out here. You know what I mean? And take it over. So why weren't Indians allowed, to have because it does seem like this would be their country. Just like, the Chinese, that would be their country. And I mean, why would the Indians be the ones, you know, that I don't know, just to wipe out a civilization, it's just to me pretty fucking rude. Pretty fucking rude. Uh, Okay. The seeds of conflict actually were planted under the guise of peace. So I would just like to say to the teacher at the university that my daughter went to that yes, guys is a word. And it's written right here. I'm surprised that you're a teacher and you don't know that there's a word named, like called such as guys. It actually derives from the house of the guys. They pretended to be blue blood. They were in France and pretended to be blue blood so that they could have succession to the throne, kind of thing. Sorry. Okay. Under the guise of peace, Massasoit and the Pilgrim leaders forged an early alliance against the neighboring Narragansett tribe. Hmm. Huh. I mean, the whole place was settled. How horrible. I wonder where the word pilgrim derives from. I've heard the word pilgrimage, but if anybody wants to look that up for me, that'd be great. After the Indians helped the Pilgrims through their first winter in Plymouth, the two sides signed a peace treaty on March 21st, 1621. Okay, so this is why I need to look something up here. All right, I'll be right back. I gotta look something up. Okay, I'm back. You guys still with me? I did it. Hi. I had to go and look at something because I was reading this book to you guys, and it was about, King Philip's War and the Indians and Plymouth and all that. And I thought, that account, see, this is where history gets twisted when people, that are writing these things, they present it in a way that isn't true. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was just a little too rainbows and butterflies to me. Hello, Janice Dickinson. There was a little too rainbows and butterflies to me about what actually was occurring then. Thank you, I appreciate that. Well, I don't give my cats cans of cat food, but thank you, I appreciate it anyway. I'll take it as encouragement. So I needed to go and actually look at the actual, you know, what really was going on. Day Day, you still here? I don't know. Because I knew that that wasn't quite the way. Well, Janice, you don't have to be here. Then if you don't keep being annoying to me, I won't have to speak poorly about you. So you're either here because you want to be, or you're here because you're trying to be annoying. And so in turn, whatever. I mean, it seems pretty logical to me and self-explanatory that if you don't want to be spoken about, then don't be around and be annoying. Okay? Since you're not King Philip, you're not a Massasoit, you're not, King, you know what I'm saying? Janice, really, I'm gonna need you to simmer the fuck down because I already don't like you. So I'm just tolerating you, hoping that perhaps you can present yourself in a manner that I can tolerate. How's that sound? I know, right, there. That's all right. That's all right. Sad. All right. You know what? I didn't. I'm gonna get rid of you in a minute, Janice. I really don't. I really don't care. I know that you're here just to annoy me and try to throw me off track, so I can just simply block you. That's absolutely what will happen. I don't know where you get money. I mean, where you get cat food for 99 cents, but you're gonna have to do a little fucking better than that. How's that sound? Okay. Janice, you know that cat food's ridiculous for 99 cents, but you're just saying that to be annoying, and you've always been annoying to me, so you're not the real Janice Dickinson, so please don't take it to heart, Janice, the real Janice Dickinson, because I know you watch me, so unless you're just kidding. Anyway, what I'm seeing is that it seems that that plague that wiped out entire, the Indians and stuff. The trips to America prior to, they must have come more than what they've said, because it seems that they came from rats or something on the ships that, you know, they were coming over on. But it had happened before 1620. So when they speak of Plymouth Plantation, yeah, but it had to be the English, did it? Oh, jeez, you guys. I mean, perhaps Portuguese, perhaps, but it's in the that's what I was just going to look at because I knew I had read more to the story than what was right here, what I'm reading, you know. Um, I wonder what when Champlain and Captain John Smith, it says in the early 1600s, a terrible illness spread through the region among the Native Americans. So there had to be, like, I think what, like the was it what what was the one that disappeared in Virginia or something like that, right? Wasn't there like a anyway, says that a terrible illness. Okay, he continued. Modern scholars have argued that indigenous communities were devastated by leptospirosis, a disease caused by old world bacteria that had likely reached New England through the feces of rats that arrived on European ships. So I guess Magellan, he would be considered European, right? Correct. um, but in this charter, Dana, the King James, like the charter, written in 1620, they refer to it as the wonderful plague. As the wonderful plague. Isn't that crazy? So to use something that you knew that they had, like, you remember that, they also had called it the kissing disease because Indians didn't kiss by mouth and there was bacteria in mouth. And I heard that, and well, I'm just saying, like, it seems like they had wanted to decimate. I wonder if when they were kidnapping Indians prior, like, because remember they had also kidnapped Squanto, so they had to have come to New England before 1620. That's interesting. For 1620. Hmm. Not England, America, New England, America. But the English must have. They had to have. Well, we know that Columbus did in 1492, and also they say the Vikings too. But this charter of 1620, the King James there, that seems like it was a premeditated, because King James called this spread of disease a wonderful plague that might help to devastate and depopulate the region. That makes me wonder if when they were kidnapping Indians, American Indians, like they did to Squanto, if they were taking them back to test them on their immune system and what would be the best way, where something that they're immune to, but the Indians were not. Isn't that insane? Yeah, it really reads like a. Now it's written in that old English. It says, "Land of precincts, where any right, claim, interest, or title may, might, or ought by that means accrue, belong to any of them." And also, for that we have been further given certainly to know. It's written in old English. Hello, Jimmy Rizzo. Uh, and also for that, that within these late years there hath by God's visitation reigned a wonderful plague. Isn't that something? Together with many horrible slaughters and murders committed amongst the, it says, it's spelled like this: Sauages. You wouldn't want to look that up for me, would you, Day Day? Would you possibly want to look that up for me? Sauages. Sauges, something like that. And brutish people there, heretofore inhabiting in a manner to the utter destruction, decimation, and depopulation of that whole territory. Wow. So they did germ warfare, is what it looks like. By reading this charter, they already knew what they were going to do. I mean, I don't know. There's 22 people here. Does anybody want to look that up for me? Sauages. And it's capitalized S. That's why I'm just wondering what it is. So that there is not left for many leagues together in a manner any that do claim or challenge any kind of interest therein. Now, this is King James, right? Let's remember that there's a King James version of the Bible. So it wouldn't surprise me. I'll spell it out for you. Yeah, it's Sau. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it does sound like a tribe though, because it is capitalized. Sauages. 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 Now, the King James Version Bible could mean that where it says in this charter that God's visitation reigned, a wonderful plague. I wonder if he thought he was God. That is insane right there. Wow. Wonder if he's the one that they thought was crazy. Or no, oh no, it was King Charles, right? Was that no. Ah, wait, yeah, right? That's one with the spaniels, right? The King Charles spaniels, right? I think that's the one that isn't that the one they beheaded? But one of them they thought was crazy. I gotta wonder. I mean, this thing is crazy that they literally did that on purpose. And this, what I was reading here, goes on to be like, after the Indians helped the Pilgrims through their first winter in Plymouth, the two sides signed a peace treaty on March 22nd, 1622. For more than 50 years, the two sides would stand by each other. Now, I knew, no, that is incorrect. My cat just did that. My cat pressed the. My cat is pressing the Bigfoot sound effect machine. Really, Day Day? That's interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to do some more research on that because it is very difficult to find um, history on the ugly history of what things were done. The other day, I pulled it. I said I'm gonna go to McDonald's. McDonald's drive-through. I wish I had my camera out at that moment. Fucking, we get up to the speaker. Guess who rolls down the window to order? Roscoe. Not rolls now because it's not a roll down anymore. Like but it's power window. Little fucker hits the button and rolls down the window to order. Ain't that funny? That shit's funny. No, I wasn't. But I really like they said that they were because of the sliver onions on there, the salmonella, but I thought that they had like, whole onions and quarter pounders. I'm like, why the fuck are they ordering? What the fuck? Why would they be getting like what does that even mean? Sliver onions. Who wants a sliver onion? I think it's disgusting that these motherfuckers had already decimated most of the Indians prior to coming because they were planning to do what they were going to do and they didn't want them to have enough to league together with. That is so fucking disgusting. I'm just like, what the fuck? And the guy writes a fucking Bible. That's who wrote it, right? Not wrote it, but I mean, that's his name, right? King James, that's who they're speaking of, right? The guy who was all about this fucking God rained down this wonderful plague on people who hadn't done anything to anybody. That is so fucked up. I'm just like in shock right now. I do like quarter pounders though. Man, those motherfuckers, they just decimated them. Calling it a visitation from God. I think that's some shit. And white man's burden? What do you mean? White man's burden. I mean, Portuguese, are they really like Caucasian? Are Portuguese Caucasian? Or like, in prevailing thought of the time? No, no, well, I mean, like, think about it. Like, okay, they couldn't actually, like English people, Europeans, like English people, they couldn't go into the jungles because of the what is it, malaria and stuff. Like they wouldn't live. They would die. But the Portuguese were the ones who would go in, and then they would barter with the slave traders that were African, and they were the ones who would really like venture further in, because it's kind of like the like like pigment of skin. You want to come up? I can drop my link. You want to come up, Day Day? I always like having you up here. Day Day's in love with Mary Jane. I can drop the link. Drop a link. But that's up to you. Like, you don't have to cam up if you don't want to. You can use your avatar if you want to relax. Relax. Take a load off, Day Day. Yeah, they were. Portuguese were. Yep. So why aren't they asking for fucking reparations from Portugal? That don't make no sense to me. I wonder how Venezuela is these days. Venezuela or whatever, since Hugo Chavez they died. Died. Yeah, but if that's the case, they got to give reparations to fucking everyone, because I think that one of the biggest part of being able to enslave anyone is by education. If someone can't read or write, they are at the mercy. They are at the mercy of everyone around them. If someone can't read or write, and I'm not like trying to say someone who can't read or write is stupid. I'm trying to say that's the way to keep somebody down, is by teaching someone not to be able to read or write. Now, this King James, this King James charter, right? The way that it's written, I can't help but wonder if King James, yeah, it has, when I read about coal miners and then child labor in the textile mills and stuff, the people in up north where a lot of the textile mills were, they were their life expectancy was only early 20s. Only early 20s. Those little kids would sleep there at the freaking factories. Barely could go to school and stuff. And then they would, wait for people at Ellis Island, like the Irish and stuff, and the coal mines would send representatives there waiting for them and fucking pay them and tokens that could only be spent at the overpriced coal mine town store. And if the husband died, the wife had to get married within 7 days. Otherwise, the company owned house that they were in, there was no use for a widow to be able to live there for free anymore. So they would escort her, her kids, and all the belongings unless she married again within 7 days. There's stuff they don't even like the widow's Vandu. The widow's Vandu and I mean it's so disgusting. They would auction off the widows here at like in New England, white people, whatever color, even if they were rich, if they didn't get married right away, they would auction the widow off. It was called widows Vandus, and I have not been able to find as much history on that as I would like. But I bet you if I was to look for that name that you just looked up for me, Day Day, and the widows Vandus at the library where there's lots of information and not like limited to what people have entered in, I bet I could find one. It's like poor people have always kind of been enslaved by rich people. He who has the most money wins. Anyway, eventually more settlers arrived and the Massachusetts Bay Colony was formed. To keep the peace with the English, Massasoit sold them land. To the Indians, it was laughable that the settlers would want to give up anything valuable for something such as land, which they felt no man could rightfully own anyway. The one thing Massasoit wouldn't barter was the beliefs of his people, attempting to stave off the English attempts to convert the England Indians to Christianity, even as the concept of the praying Indian began to evolve within neighboring tribes. Yeah, praying to what? The God that rained down the wonderful plague. Isn't that horrible? In the last years of his life, however, Massasoit saw many of his Wampanoags convert to both the English religion and culture, and the strength of his people diluted over time. His eldest son, Wamsuda, whom the English dubbed Alexander, wow, ascended to great. I never know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's Sachem. Sachem ascended to great Sachem. Can somebody look that up for me? Sachem upon Massasoit's death, believed to be in either 1661 or 1662. By this time, the colonists and the natives had a completely different relationship than the one Suda's father had fostered with those original pilgrims in Plymouth. Yeah, sure. If we didn't know that the charter. Oh, thank you, DJ. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So, where the Indians were thinking they were achieving peace with these people and perhaps converting. Can you look something else up for me, Day Day? Would this be asking too much? I mean, I can look it up if you don't want to. That's why I need, a research assistant. Because when I disappeared, like when you said, did I leave, people don't know that I'm going to look something up. But I feel like it's something that is okay. It's probably kind of extensive. So I wish you would like screenshot it or just come up on the panel and tell me because I'm real curious about King James. Uh, if he had a God complex, like, did this fucker think he was God? Like, I mean, why would anybody think that if they didn't even know? I mean, like, I can't even believe that they called something God rained down a wonderful plague and death and murder and destruction on these people so we can take it over. I mean, that just is like, it blows my mind that here are the Indians. Hi, can you change your name? You're going to need to change your name. Change your name and you can come back, please. Thank you for that comment, but you need to change your name. You got 300 seconds to think of a better name because that although I appreciate your input because that's what I'm like wondering about, like King James, like because I've never studied up on him in particular, and I would assume that yes, he was an egomaniac, but I don't like the name that you're using, so that's gonna have to go. You don't have to make a whole new account. You can just change the name because I timed you out. I didn't block you, but I appreciate your input. I really do. And I believe that you're right about that. That, yeah, I'm dying to know more about what the fuck. this fucking guy over there was thinking. Like, that's like where they just waging a war on something that it wasn't put into the words that it was a war. Like, they were, yeah, well, what does that mean though? What does that mean, Dede? You gotta be more specific than that. He thought just like everybody else. I mean, come on, Dede. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He couldn't have. He like, there's a whole version of the Bible called the King James Bible. He had to have his own. Even the way the writing is like, what was he just teaching, telling people, you write like this because I tell you to write like this. You hear me? You feel me? Are you picking up what I'm laying down? You don't want to just come up and look it up and read to me what you find? No? No? Okay. The colonists were no longer dependent on the Indians for survival, and instead sought to expand their colony deeper into Indian territories. The Indians, no longer able to use fur and other items as trade commodities, could only give up more of the land in exchange for items such as weapons and tools from the English. There's more to that story. Why weren't they able to use fur for trade anymore? As the spread of the English grew and the power of the Indians waned, which is exactly what that charter said, Wamsuda was desperate to keep his people united. Some historians believe he was suspected of meeting with the Narragansett tribe in order to plan a revolt against the colonists, but they wiped them out with that wonderful plague, as they like to call it, in the years prior, just so they wouldn't be able to do that. Wow. Wow. Others believe he was selling land to opposing colonies instead of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Hi, Jolie. Either way, Wamsuda drew the suspicions of the colonial governor and was summoned to court at Plymouth, reportedly at gunpoint after he failed to appear under his own free will. At some point in the journey, he's got to appear to court under his own free will, but he can't talk to the chief of Narragansett tribe under his own free will. Okay, that's crazy. At some point in the journey, he fell ill and subsequently died. Sure, he did. His brother, yeah, that just doesn't even make sense. So, if he'd have gone on his own free will and died, I mean, like, what the fuck? But at gunpoint, he fucking gets ill and dies? Yeah, okay. His brother, Metacom, or Philip to the English, became the great. Is it said Sachem? Like the CH is Sachem? 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 After his death. Metacom had his own suspicions about the mysterious passing of his brother. I bet he did. He felt that someone within the colonial government had poisoned Wamsuda in order to quell a potential rebellion. I bet he did. With all this ill will beginning to build up between the two sides. No, no, but not just beginning. Metacom, nope. not just beginning. They already knew because their particular God, whoever Saint King James, that's why he wrote his own. So is he the King James that the King James version is like? Did he make up his own like language too? And where did Puritans derive from? Were they in England? I mean, where did they originate from? Because weren't the Pilgrims Puritans? With okay, this it was only a matter of time before something would spark the powder keg. That event came in December of 1674 when Metacom's advisor Wasserman, known to the English as John Sassamon, one of the praying Indians, approached Plymouth Governor Hosea Winslow to warn him that Metacom. Wow. Oh. So where did Puritans come from? Weren't the Pilgrims Puritans? These Puritans and Quakers, where did they pop up from? I mean, like what country did they originate in? Okay, Day Day. It did some shit right here. So get this. So the guy, the Indian, Wasserman, they came from England, but isn't that weird? Because England was like, when you look through the English history, it seems like it was mostly Catholics and Protestants. There's not much talk of Puritans and Quakers. Like, so why would all the pilgrims, as it appeared, be Puritans? So, are you saying that Quakers aren't a religion? They're not? What are they? Are you saying that the King James Bible isn't the same Bible? That it's considered Protestant? Is it different than the regular Bible? I thought the only difference was the way that it's written, like thee and thou and stuff like that. So the guy that went to the Plymouth governor, right, to warn him that he thought that Metacom was planning to unite with other tribes. Yeah, but The King James Bible, is that what you said was the revolting against Roman Catholicism? Was him coming up, with the King James Bible? Is that what you mean? Like, so it was his version of the Bible, which was okay, and King James Bible was Protestant. But what I'm asking, so what I'm saying is, other than the thee and the thou and stuff like that, does it differ in anything else? Like, it's pretty much the same, isn't it? Other than the way it's written, like thee and thou and all that. So you said the Quakers weren't a religion. The Puritans were Protestant. Yeah, but the Bible is basically the same, though, right? He just kind of changed it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, did this guy have his own freaking language or something? Um, so this Indian who stabbed the guy in the back, the other Indian in the back, says not long after that, his body was found in Assawampet's Pond in present day Lakeville or Middleborough, and the settlers accused Metacom and his warriors of his murder. A fellow Indian named Patuxin claimed to bear witness to three of Metacom's men murdering Sasaman, and the trio became the first to be tried in front of a jury of both whites and Indians. The trio was found guilty and subsequently executed in June of 1675, and the colonists remained convinced that Metacom was somehow involved. Really? But I feel like there is some spots in the Bible where it does say that you can divorce. And then look at how the Catholics can annul. But did he think he was like God? Is what I'm like wondering. This King James. You when you first came in, you said he was an egomaniac, and that's what I'm like wondering. Was he? He seems to be totally an egomaniac. And what part did the Roman Catholic Church play in the whole, I'm going to call it, invasion of America? Because remember, like the Jesuits and stuff were trying to push, religion. The Wampanoags, however, were not happy with the idea of their people being subjected to the laws and the courts of the colonists, as noted by Christopher Balzano in his book Dark Woods. As all of the events of the past few decades, the murder of his brother, the followers leaving by the dozens, and the killing of men found guilty with no evidence swirled about him, his paranormal stepped in an often overlooked nod to the unknown. A total lunar eclipse occurred. The Native Americans in this area saw this as a sign of war, and Philip used to use this to fuel their desire for change. Well, but the thing is, they had already decimated with that quote unquote wonderful plague that God rained down on them, and they had already killed off enough. that they were saying that they couldn't really unite enough Indians together to fight back. That's very sad. Man, and they say, about this King Philip's War, right? That's what they call it, King Philip's War. First of all, calling him a king is so strange, and remembering him in history as King Philip as opposed to Metacom, because that was his name. And I had also read that what they would, the town officials, like even up to like Simsbury, Connecticut. I don't. I would say more agnostic. Like, but then again, I mean, it changes every day. I do have tons of faith, so I do believe in what I can't see. Every day, more and more. Every day, more and more. Because the more I read, I mean, the more that I research, I definitely do think that God and science go hand in hand. Probably agnostic, I would say. Just not church. And we did go to church like once or twice, but it was non-denominational. It was, like Kristen, I think, said everyone welcome outside. Um, and we did go to that, but um, I just got off track. What was I saying? Oh, God and science. Amazing. Amazing. I really think that science can break down things that are like incredible and amazing, but can't explain them. So that should make people believe more in God, because there's truly no explanation for what can be explained. Like, incredible that a starfish can regenerate into a whole starfish again from an arm, from its arm. From its arm. Isn't that crazy? And that a cat can be pregnant by two different litters at the same time, have two different at the same time. Um, there's a jellyfish that once it gets sick or something like that, it can, or it gets too old, it can actually regress back to like Benjamin Button. Like, it's considered to be the immortal jellyfish. There's so much stuff that just blows my mind. Neither. Neither. Well, I mean, agnostic doesn't, basically, if I just told you more agnostic or just had faith, not any kind of organized religion, she wouldn't be baptized or have a bat mitzvah. Because do you know why the bar mitzvah is like for boys, the 13, uh, is because way back when, if your kid did something, the father took the punishment for it. So when they turned 13, it's a celebration because they didn't have to take the punishment anymore. The kid did. He was a man now. No, she doesn't. No. But faith is different from religion. Religion is organized religion, where faith is just believing in God, and that's what God wants you to have. God is what is about faith. God is faith. That's what God is. But anyway, so this in Simsbury, this place where I used to go hiking, Calcott Mountain, there's a cave there, and they call it King Philip's Cave, saying that he sat there and watched as the town of Simsbury. No, we did have a Christmas tree. Well, that Christmas trees don't have anything to do with religion. They didn't have. I think you're being fresh. I think you're getting off topic. And don't let your stupidity reign through. Don't let your stupidity reign through. But what I think is that the in my from what we're having a conversation, but you're being silly because you know that Christmas trees don't have anything to do with religion. They do not have anything to do with religion. But right, but you do know that, well, you might be highly intelligent, but not intuitive really enough to know not to come in with a sock account that's going to offend somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, intelligent would be in every area, every high, highly intelligent would be. Not really. What Christians had Christmas trees? I mean, actually, the date of December 25th is significant in Maccabees, which, you know, but where does it say that? Well, I know exactly. I know that. What I'm asking is, where does it? I mean, yeah, no. Christmas trees are commercialized. Like the Easter bunny doesn't have anything to do with Jesus either. So, I mean, you know that, right? I think you're just trying. You obviously know. You know. You obviously know. But, Yeah, the word is synonymous. Yeah, I know. I know what the word is, but I'm asking you how you don't know that Christmas is commercialized. I know exactly what synonymous means. What I'm asking is, I gotta plug my phone in, is did they light a menorah? Like, okay, so was Hanukkah celebrated back in biblical times? Because was Christmas celebrated in biblical times? I'm curious. No, I had a Christmas tree. I liked my Christmas tree very much so. But I'm curious. Like, did they celebrate anything like Christmas back then? I wonder. Because they did celebrate Passover. We know that. So, what holidays, other than the Jewish holidays, did they celebrate back in biblical times? I'm curious. You want to be a research assistant? Oh my God. And I'm not triggered. I'm laughing at what you just said. Oh my God. You're fucking silly. Are you behind in the audio or something? I'll type out and ask you if you're behind in the audio. Nobody's triggered here. Well, you can't be behind in the audio because you just answered that question. It was pretty funny. Yeah. All right, now you're out. All right. So anyhow, so the place there in Simsbury, near Simsbury, Talcott Mountain. Um, when I was doing like some research on the stuff, it had it had said that they burned down Simsbury, and the town officials had told the people who lived there to bury all of their valuables because the Indians would burn everything down, and if they wanted to protect their valuables, it was best that they buried them all, as opposed to taking them all with them. Um, it was best for them to bury them all, and then they could just unbury their valuables when they came back. But I'm wondering. if actually, the whole burning of the villages was done by the town officials just to dig up the valuables of the people. And that's what I'm wondering. Well, I'm only as good as you guys are, so I'll just yeah, I'm so triggered because somebody asked me if I had a Christmas tree. Me mad. You never ask if I have Christmas tree again. I can't plug my phone in. There's something wrong with it. What is that? Uh-oh. All right. Peace, love, and tacos.